All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I've got 7 o'clock on the dot, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. There's quite a bit of stuff that I want to talk to you about, and I know you all probably have some questions, so I want to have time for that. I did start a recording in case some students were not able to join us. I can send them the recording later, so just know that I have started the recording. First, I want to introduce myself. I'm Amber Ward. I'm the Director of Field and Clinical Experiences here in the College of Education. I know some of you. I've seen some of you on campus before with us, and also I know some of you from my hometown, so it's nice to see some familiar faces. You do not have to have your camera on right now if you don't want to, but you are more than welcome to keep your camera on. That way I don't feel like I'm just talking to a black screen. So just to let y'all know, I'm very nervous about talking to y'all today because this is our first semester doing this program. So we're all like learning what we're doing around here. So I know y'all are learning as well. It's definitely a learning curve for all of us, and we want to try to make it as easy as possible for you all, but still be able to give you what is required for the Georgia PSC and for certification. So just please know I'm right there with you when it comes to the learning curve and navigating all of this. And I didn't make a PowerPoint for today or anything like that. I just want to kind of go over a couple of main points, and then I want to just open it up for questions because you all probably have more questions that I'm not even thinking about. And maybe if you bring up some questions, it will answer something for everyone. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to be sharing a couple of different things. The first thing I want to talk about is for paras, because the majority of you are parapros. We have a handful of career changers in this group. I think we have maybe 3 or 4 that are career changers that are not actually employed in the school right now. So I will talk about what that looks like for you all that are career changers. I'll talk about that in just a minute, but I want to start with the paras. So give me just a second and I'm going to share my screen.
Hello?
Hey.
Hi.
Give me just 1 second. I'm trying to share my screen. If you're on a phone call, you may just have to listen, and then I'll be able to email this to you all. The things that I'm sharing right now, I'll be able to email this to you tomorrow. So just if you're on a phone call, just listen if you can't see the screen. But otherwise,
Okay.
Can someone unmute and tell me if you see the form that says school employee/administrator/mentor commitment form?
I see it.
All right, great. So we're going to start with this. So a lot of you are paras. Instead of titling this form paras, administrator mentor commitment form, we title it school employee because part of this program, we want to work with schools for any of their employers to be a part of this program. So that could include cafeteria workers, janitors, secretaries, anyone that works in the school. We want them to know about our program. We want to recruit for this program. So anyone at the school, you don't have to be a para. So if you have anybody at your school asking about it, we would love to talk to anyone at your school about the program. So we basically just, instead of saying para, we opened it up to any school employee. So if you are a para, this will be the form for you. So what we're going to do is start with this commitment form. I'll be emailing this to you all probably tomorrow, maybe the next day, but by the end of the week for sure, I'll be emailing this form to you. This is what we will want you to take and sit down with your administrator and talk to them about. So this is basically just saying that your administrator is going to work with you to be able to do this program and to be able to finish successfully and be able to get your required field experiences in for the remainder of this program. So as a teacher candidate at Georgia Southwestern, You're going to discuss your professional plans with your administrator and your program long mentor, and I'll talk about that in just a second. And you're going to gain their support for working with you to assist you in completing the required field-based learning experiences. So as part of the Georgia PSC standards, we have to show that we have given you experience in 3 different grade band requirements and diverse placements and diverse settings. So I will discuss that in just a few minutes of what that looks like. But this is just saying when you sign this form that you understand that and that you've sat down with your administrator and talked to them about it. Also, you understand that you will have a pre-service certificate as part of this program. That is part of the paperwork that you all filled out to be accepted to the program. And Miss Yolanda, our certification specialist here, has submitted all of your paperwork. So if you do not already have your pre-service certificate, then we're probably waiting on it to come in. If there may have been a form, it's called something like the affidavit or lawful presence, something like that. There's some kind of form you'll have to sign, and Miss Yolanda had to notarize for you all to obtain that pre-service certificate. If there's a form like that that you haven't signed yet, please get that done ASAP so that we can get your pre-service certificate on file. Basically, your pre-service certificate is what you'll have for the remaining 2 years of this program, and that will turn into a teaching certificate once you finish the program. Also, as part of our program, we require you to have liability insurance. You may already have liability insurance through your school. Give me just a second. Okay. So you may already have liability insurance through your school. You may have it taken out of your paycheck every month. You may have paid it just up front and a one-time payment. We do require that liability insurance as part of this program. And if you do work for the school system, you would be purchasing what they call support personnel liability insurance. I do have a Page representative that's going to log on with us close to the end of this meeting, and she's going to explain a little bit more about the liability insurance if you've never heard about it, or if you have heard about it but have some questions. She's going to log on a little bit later and discuss that. But we just need you to know that it is required for you to have that liability insurance throughout the program. And so you also understand this is an initial certification program leading toward the bachelor's degree in education. So you'll sign and put your grade level, subject, or position that you're currently working. If you are in a middle school special ed classroom, please be as specific as possible. This will just help us navigate your field experiences. So if you are, let's say, in a middle school inclusion, special ed, 7th grade classroom, just be as specific as possible. If you're in a kindergarten classroom, if it's a just a general education classroom, put that. If you're in, let's say you're a parapro in a kindergarten ESOL classroom, put that on there. So just try to be as specific as possible whenever you put a grade level, subject, position. If you do happen to be a secretary, bookkeeper, custodian, cafeteria worker, something like that, please put your position that you're working there on that line. So once you sit down with your administrator, they're going to have met with you and discussed your plans. You're going to talk to them about the multiple grade bands and diverse settings in which your field experience is required. And then they're going to sign, date, and leave their email address there as well. And then the program long mentor. So when you sit down with your administrator, you're going to need to ask them, who do you want to be basically in charge of you for the next 2 years while you are in this program? This could be they could do it themselves, the principal. They could assign the assistant principal to be a mentor. They could assign an academic coach to be a mentor. I have a feeling that a lot of them are probably going to assign an assistant principal or an academic coach or a counselor. it could even be just a teacher in the building that they want to assign as a mentor. But please make sure your administrator understands when you're talking to them that this person needs to be there to mentor you throughout the 2 years that you're in this program. So what this mentor will do for you is when you do need an evaluation of some of your for some of your classes, when you're doing lessons and things like that, the mentor can come in and do a quick evaluation on you. The mentor will be able to approve your time log where you log your field experience days. They'll be able to approve that for you. They'll be able to work with you when making those field experience placements. So make sure when you're talking to your administrator that they assign you a program long mentor. And then once they do that, you'll need to sit down with your program long mentor as well as your administrator and discuss this next page that I'm about to go into. Make sure your program long mentor gives us their name and their title. So if they are an academic coach, make sure they put that there just so we know what their title is. And please ask them to put their email address so that we have that on file as well. At some point in this program, I'm going to meet with all of the program long mentors just so that they kind of know what's expected of them and how to use our, it's called Student Learning and Licensure account, formerly known as VIA LiveText. So if you've ever had a VIA LiveText account, it's still good. They just changed the name of it, and I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But I want to make sure all of our program long mentors know how to use that because they'll be going into that account every semester to be able to approve your hours and complete evaluations when needed. So when you sit down with your administrator and program long mentor, you'll notice here it says, as outlined on the field experience progression chart. That is the second page of this document. And I really tried hard, y'all, to make this as easy as possible for you to understand. It's a lot of information in one chart, but I tried to make it as easy for you to understand as possible. So the requirements, like I mentioned before, you have to have 3 grade band experiences for an elementary major. So you have to be in a pre-K or kindergarten setting. You have to be in a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd grade setting, and you have to be in a 4th or 5th grade setting before you graduate. You also have to have at least 2 diverse settings other than your current classroom site. So let's say you're just a kindergarten para in a general ed classroom. So you need a diverse setting other than what you're in now. So that could be included but not limited to ESOL, dual immersion, STEM, gifted, intervention, anything that you can think of. If your mentor can help you think of something else that you may have at your school that's not included in these, we could get it approved for that to be a diverse placement. So let's say you are a para in a STEM classroom. So you're going to need at least one other diverse placement. And then the 3rd diverse placement could be just a general ed classroom. For the next 3 semesters, semester 1, 2, and 3, this is before you student teach, before your last semester, you can complete one of those in your current classroom site if it's a general education setting. So for all of you that are in special ed settings, you're going to have to come out of that classroom site and go into a general education setting for each semester. But if you are in a general education setting, you can complete one of these semesters in your current class. So if you see here, each semester we're going to require 75 hours or 10 full days, however you want to make it work. It could be 20 half days or 75 hours if you want to go by hours. So basically, when you're sitting down, you're talking to your administrator and your program long mentor, go ahead and let them know for 10 days during the duration of the semester, I'm going to need to go to another classroom. If you're not in a general ed classroom, or if you are in a general ed classroom, but you've already done your current classroom. So for example, if you want to make this semester easy, if you are in a pre-K or kindergarten classroom this semester, just a general ed classroom, you could stay in that placement this semester, and you would circle pre-K or K for this semester because you would be in one of those. And then you would put current class. If it's just a general ed, you would check current class and you would check general ed. If your current class is ESOL, then you would check current class and you would check ESOL. Okay, so for one semester, you can be in your current class if you're not in special ed. So this semester, if you want to make it easy, you can do that. Now, let's say your administrator's like, well, how are we going to do this? How am I going to pull you out of the classroom for 10 days for you to get these days for field experience? Well, these administrators and mentors, they can do some swapping around. They can have you go to another para's classroom and that para swap with you for 10 days during the semester or 75 hours, how you want to work, however you want to work that out. They could have you go, if they needed you to cover a classroom for that semester in, let's say you're a kindergarten para and your administrator's like, okay, I'm going to put you in the first, second, and third grade band this semester. I'm going to need you to cover so-and-so's classroom in second grade on these 10 days. So they could do something like that, or they can just have you come out of your current placement and go to one of these grade bands each semester. They don't have to switch you up with a para. They don't have to do anything like that. You can just, if they can justify it, then you can just come out of your classroom and go into another setting in your school. All of this can be done at your school if it is a pre-K through fifth grade school. For those of you that are in a middle school or high school or a special ed placement, this may be a little bit more difficult for you to navigate because you will have to work with your mentor and your administrator, and they will have to work with the administrator or the liaisons at another school. So for example, if you are at Lee County Middle School East and you are a special ed parapro, your administrator at Lee County Middle School East is going to need to call Twin Oaks and have you go over to their school for fourth or fifth grade placement. They're also going to need to call Lee County Primary or Kitchafoni Primary and have you go over to kindergarten first or second for those semesters. If you are, let's say, at Crisp County Primary, you know that you do not have a fourth and fifth grade class at Crisp County Primary. Your principal and or your program long mentor will have to call over to Crisp County Elementary and align 10 days that you could go over there to complete these field experience requirements. So your administrators and your program long mentor, please talk to them when you sit down with them and explain to them that if these grades are not in your school building, that they're going to have to work with you to be able to go to another school in your county to get these grade bands. Now, for those of you that are in a school that has pre-K through fifth, you can stay at your same school and do all of this at your school. So for this paper here, this progression chart, this is something that's going to be like a running document. So I'm going to need you to keep up with this. So for the first semester, which is this semester you're in now, once you get this commitment form and you sit down with your administrator, go ahead and talk to them about what your semester one is going to look like. So think about the best option for you. Is it to stay in your current class, or is it to go out and do one of your other grade bands and get them out of the way? I know fall semesters are probably going to be easier to go into other classrooms because you're not going to be doing testing. And we all know that spring semester, you have a lot of testing, and you have to be pulled a lot to do testing in the spring. So it may be beneficial to do your current classroom in the spring and do another grade band in the fall to go ahead and get that out of the way. So for this chart, talk to your administrator, see which grade band you're going to go ahead and complete this semester. Circle that grade band that you plan to complete this semester. If it's one specific grade and subject, please write that here on this chart. And then down here, check what diverse placement you're in. So if it's, like I said earlier, if it's your current class that you're going to stay in, go ahead and check that. If it's general ed, ESOL, dual immersion, STEM, gifted intervention. These are just the main ones that we know of that schools have. But like I said, if there is an other that you and your administrator can think of that they want to place you in, then that will be fine as well if we can approve that for you. Okay, so that I know was a lot of information. This form I have down here at the bottom, this form is intended to be a running document. And I'm going to ask that you each semester, when you fill this out, after you talk to your administration, submit this form. So you can just take a picture of it or scan it somehow and submit this form to your SLL account, which is also known as VIA, used to be known as VIA. You'll submit this in your account each semester, just so that we know here what your plan is for that semester and what grade band you're going to be in. Your professors may need to know for your assignments that they give you for you to complete while you're in the schools. So this is for us to be able to know if a professor comes to me and says, hey, where is Samantha this semester? I can pull up this for Samantha and I can tell them, oh, she's in second grade in an ESOL classroom this semester. Okay, so I'm going to stop right now. I know that was a lot of information. There may be some questions right now. There probably is. I'm going to stop. If you have any questions, I'm going to leave this on the screen, but if you have any questions, go ahead and unmute and ask away.
Say that you do your current classroom. So when it comes time for semester 4, can you do the same classroom or do you have to do a different one?
Yes, great question. Thank you. I did not remember to say that. You can do your current classroom in semester 1, 2, or 3, and then you can also do your current classroom in semester 4. So when you're student teaching, you can do your current classroom. That will probably be what you want to do is your current classroom. Now, I will go ahead and say here while I'm talking about this, some of your school systems may want to hire you as an intern your senior year. Some of you may be the teacher of record your senior year. A lot of you might be the teacher of record your senior year because we've already had administrators ask us, can we do this? Can we put them in this program and then next year, their senior year, can we hire them as a teacher, as an intern? And the answer is yes. So we have this field progression chart. However, if you take on an internship, let me just throw an example for you. So let's say right now you're a kindergarten para and you do your kindergarten grade band this semester.
Right.
Next semester, you decide to go to second grade and do a second grade. So you do that grade band next semester. Well, your next year, your senior year, your semester 3 and 4, your principal decides, I want to hire this person as a second grade teacher. Well, what grade band have you not had yet? 4th or 5th. So in my opinion, it would be best to go ahead and step out of whatever classroom you're currently in and try to go ahead and knock out the grade bands that you're not currently in. But that may not work out if your administrator hires you as an intern for a grade level that you're not currently in. Does that make sense? I know it probably doesn't make that much sense, but at some point, if they decide to hire you as an intern and you haven't had a specific grade band, for us to be able to prove to the PSC, the Georgia PSC, that you've had all of your grade bands, you may have to do something your senior year that you're interning. Let's say you may have to go during your planning time to a 4th grade classroom to get some hours in. I'm not saying it would be 75 full hours because that's a lot and you can't just step out of a classroom when you're the teacher of record for that long. We would have to take that case by case to see how that would work.
Okay.
If your principal already knows, like if your principal is already talking to you about, next year I want to hire you as a kindergarten teacher, then you may want to save that kindergarten grade band and go ahead and knock out 1st, 2nd, and 3rd and knock out 4th and 5th so that your senior year, if you're an intern in kindergarten, you won't have to worry about getting any more experience because you've already knocked out those other grade bands.
Right.
But yes, if you're not hired as an intern and you just do your traditional student teaching as a para in a classroom, then it can be in your current setting. even if you've been in your current setting once before.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions?
Yes. Okay,
Okay.
so my question is, I teach an activity class, so I see all grade levels, K through third. How does that fall within this realm? Does it just, I'm trying to decide how I'm asking this question, because obviously I'm still going to need to go into a general education classroom, and I get that. So when I count mine as a current, which grade level do I count it as, I guess?
Okay, so when you count it as your current class, you would check current class and STEM, obviously.
Okay.
And then you could choose pre-K or K or first, second, or third, since you work with all of those.
Okay.
For you, Carrie, I would probably choose first, second, and third because you see more of those than you do K.
Okay.
So when you're doing it in your own classroom, I would probably choose first, second, and third. And then when you go out of your classroom to do a general ed classroom, you may want to go in a kindergarten classroom at your school. And then I know you would have to go one semester to the elementary school for fourth or fifth.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that's good. Oh, no, the 10 hours is not consecutive, correct? I mean, the 10 full days is not consecutive, correct?
Right. It can be 10 days, any 10 days throughout the rest of the semester before the end of the semester. Let's see. Final grades are due, looks like December 12th. So it can be any time before December 12th. And like I said, if you need to do half days, if it works out better for you to do half days, you could do half days. If it works out for you to do hours. Now, what we do not want to see happen is your principal say, okay, I'm going to let you go for, every day during your planning period, I'm going to let you go to a general ed classroom. And that's like 1 hour a day. That's typically not what we want to see happen. If there's absolutely no way around it, then we'll talk about it. But if you think about 1 hour in a classroom to be able to do your assignments for your classes, that's really not a lot of time to be able to go into a classroom, get acclimated to what's going on, and then have to be out and be back in your classroom before your kids come back. So we really don't want to see, 1 hour here and there. If, like I said, if it's absolutely the only option, then you'll need to contact us and we'll have to work through that. And we may have to talk to your administrator and see what else we could possibly work out. All right. Any other questions right now about it from paras specifically? If you're a career changer, I'm going to talk to you in just a second, but any other questions from paras?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, if you're employed at the middle school, so I had to go to the elementary school to get the hours or the days?
Yes. So if you're in a middle school for this program, since it's an elementary education program, you have to have experience in pre-K through fifth. So you'll have to talk to your administrator at the middle school and you will have to ask them to work with you and to work with the other administrators in your county and figure out days that you can go over to the other schools in your county. You can do it in the same county, and most administrators already work together anyway. So just have your administrator on board with you and have your administrator help you navigate that and talk to the other administrators at the other schools in your county.
Okay.
Now, let's say that you are working in a middle school this year, and then next year as a para, you ask for a transfer to the elementary school or one of your elementary schools in your county. Then at that point, you would not have to leave your school. You could do it at your school in the elementary setting. And when you're student teaching, eventually at the end, you're going to need to make sure that you can be transferred to an elementary classroom because you can't student teach in a middle school classroom. So for those of you that are in a middle school, if you're in a middle school special ed position, you need to go ahead and start making plans to be transferred down to an elementary classroom. And if you're in SPED, you need to go ahead and be making plans to be transferred to a general ed classroom, because once we put you in our system, in the TPMS system for Georgia PSC, they're going to ask us, what setting are you in and who is your who is your mentor in the classroom with you. And if we put down that you're in a special ed classroom setting, whether that be in, now you can be in inclusion as long as you're in general ed with a special ed teacher coming in, as long as you're the majority working with the general ed teacher. Like you can't follow a special ed teacher all day, but as long as if you're in an inclusion class and you stay with the general ed teacher, then we can make that work. But when we put you in the system, you have to have a general ed classroom pre-K through 5th grade for you to be certified in elementary education. And I'm pretty sure Dr. Abbott probably talked to you all whenever she was talking to you about this. So if you are in a middle school classroom, she may have told you something like that, you know, of course you can't do your student teaching in a middle school classroom or in a special ed classroom.
Correct. That's why I thought that it actually starts during the student teaching. I didn't know it starts now.
So because you have to have all 3 grade bands and we have to put in the system all 3 grade bands for you, we have to go ahead and start it now at the beginning of your program so that you can get all of them in before you graduate.
Understood.
Okay, any other questions from paras right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
This is sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, you
Just
go
a,
ahead.
clarification. I'm in a self-contained special ed classroom, K through 2nd. So all of my semesters, I would have to come out of that classroom and do my hours. And then for student teaching, I would need to transfer my position to a general ed class.
That's correct. So if you're in a self-contained special ed classroom, you don't have any general ed in your class. So you would have to come out of that self-contained classroom for these experiences. I will say that if your administrator wanted to hire you as an intern your senior year, next school year, that just make sure they know they need to hire you as a teacher pre-K through 5th, not in the special ed classroom. And then we could make that work if you're hired as teacher of record as an intern for your senior year. If you're not hired as a teacher of record for your senior year and you just transfer as a para, then ask to be transferred to a pre-K through 5th grade classroom general education or inclusion. Okay. Like I said, you could, if they wanted to keep you as a sped para, you could do an inclusion classroom, but you'd have to stay with that general ed all day. You couldn't actually follow the special ed teacher.
Okay.
Okay, Miss Amber, this is Chastity.
Okay.
I know my situation is a little different since I transferred in and I'm already considered a senior. So how is that going to look? Because I'm supposed to do my student teaching in the fall to be able to get all 3 grade bands. What is that looking like for me?
Okay, so for you, because you already know, you've already talked to your administrator about possibly being hired as teacher of record next year. But we don't know yet what grade she would hire you as teacher of record for. That's the issue. If she has any idea and she can go ahead and tell you what she might what kind of classroom she would hire you as the teacher of record for, then for you would have this semester and next semester to knock out the other 2 grade bands. So let's say your principal says, oh, I'm going to put you in a kindergarten classroom next year for sure. Then this semester you would want to do 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, and then next semester 4th or 5th, or vice versa. Because if you know that she wants to hire you for a kindergarten classroom, you would save that for last.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
If she doesn't know, which I know she may not know, it would be one of those situations I was talking about earlier where go ahead and just get 2 of the grade bands done this semester and next semester. And then if you're hired for a grade band that you've already done, then you could go during your planning time for a few hours, things like that. We would work it out with you to, cause as least stress as possible. We would work it out with you so that we could prove that you did get that experience.
Yes.
For you, and I know your school, if I were you, I would go ahead and knock out the 4th or 5th placement this semester or next semester, That way, because you know if you're hired at the school you're at now, it's not going to be a 4th or 5th. So you want to go ahead and knock that one out.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Hey, Amber, it's Sam.
Hey.
So I'm in the same boat as Chastity. So, and I'm in a GAA classroom, so I know that I'd have to come out of that completely to do this. Never mind. I'm answering my own question that I'm about to ask. It says 5th, or it says 4th or 5th. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I got it.
So one
But, okay,
semester, you probably want to go, for this semester or next semester, I would go ahead and go to the elementary school and knock out 4th or 5th grade. So have your principal or mentor call over to the elementary school and say, hey, I've got, one of my pairs needs to come over there for 10 days. Can we arrange for her to come over in a 4th grade or a 5th grade classroom? And go ahead and knock that out, because if you're hired at the school you're at now, you're not going to be 4th or 5th. So go ahead and get that one out of the way for sure. And the other one is kind of up in the air unless your principal knows, what grade they want to hire you for.
Okay, I think that was going to be my next question. So if we speak to if our principal has already contacted us and wants to know more about that, if they kind of have a general idea about that, then we can kind of go around the grade band. If we know, like, a 2nd or 3rd grade, we kind of can push that one to the side.
Yeah,
Okay.
if they kind of have a general idea, like I want to hire you in 2nd or 3rd grade, then you know that you need to save that one. So go ahead and get kindergarten out of the way and go ahead and get 4th and 5th grade out of the way.
Okay, so that's just something that we need at meeting.
Yes. So when you sit down with your admin to talk to them about this chart and this flow, how it flows, just go ahead and ask them, I know you've mentioned to me that I might be hired as an intern next year. Do you have any idea what grade level you're thinking about? Just so that we can save that for last, and I won't have to, and I can go ahead and get these other 2 out of the way.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, any more paras have questions? All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and move on, and I'll stay logged on. I know the meeting was set until 8, but I'll stay logged on after. If anyone wants to stay logged on and ask any questions, I'll be glad to stay. So I'm gonna go ahead and move into the career changer form now. It's gonna be similar, but you're gonna look a little bit different just because you're not already in a school. So the career changer, you can see that there's no place for an administrator or program long mentor to sign because you're not in a school. So basically you understand that the same thing, that you have to have a pre-service certificate, you have to have liability insurance, and you have to be in different grade bands and different diverse settings. So if you will tell me your current career or your current job, I know you answered that on the Google form I sent already, but if you'll just put it on this commitment form as well. And then also tell me the city and state that you're living in. Most of y'all, I think, are living in Georgia, but we have opened our program to any state. So we may in the future have some people from other states. So just tell me city and state that you live. You also have a progression chart here because we do want to keep up with what grade band you're doing, what semester. Now, my goal for the career changers, and this is for those of you that work in a daycare, those of you that may work at a school that's not accredited. If you don't know if your school is accredited, you probably want to email Dr. Abbott. You can copy me on the email if you want to, but email Dr. Abbott and ask her to check for you if your school is accredited. Some Head Start programs may not be accredited. Some private schools may not be accredited. Some Catholic schools or religious-based schools may not be accredited. So if you have questions, you probably want to go ahead and email Dr. Abbott to see if your school is accredited. If it is accredited, you can do all of this at your school. If it's not accredited, then we're going to have to consider you a career changer, and you're going to have to do it at a school that is accredited. So let's see, I've jotted some notes down. I'm just going to go over my notes. So for let's say we have a career changer that lives in Sumter County. I'm pretty sure we have a student that works at a daycare here in Sumter County, and so since the daycare is going to be considered a career changer, What my hope is for you all, is to find a school in your county that you live, in your city that you live in. And I want to hopefully let you work with that one school throughout these 2 years, throughout your program. So for example, if you live in Sumter County, I would like to contact Furlough Charter School and ask them, can this student that is a career changer in our online program, can they come to you each semester and complete all of their grade band and diverse requirements? And hopefully that school is going to say, yes, of course. And at that point, then I would give you the contact information for someone at the school where you could go to that school and sit down with them and talk to them about this field experience progression chart and talk to them about each semester and what that will look like for you. Let's say you live in Dougherty County and you are a career changer. I would contact one of the schools that we work with, that we partner with in Dougherty County, that's a K-5 school, so that, or pre-K-5 school, so that you don't have to worry about going to 2 or 3 different schools. I would try to contact one school and ask them, can you invest in this student for the next 2 years to come to your school each semester to get these grade band and diverse requirements? That is my hope for our career changers. If it works, if it turns out where we can't do something like that, then we'll work together. We'll work one-on-one and try to figure out the best plan for you. But that's my hope. Once you fill out these commitment forms as a career changer, then I'm going to reach out to schools in your area to see if we can do that. We can get you to work with one school. You still have to have the same requirements as the paras or school employees. You have to be in all 3 grade bands, and you have to be in at least 2 diverse placements before you graduate. Are there any questions right now from career changers?
Yes, I have a question. Oh,
Go ahead. She can go ahead.
okay. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
It's just a quick question. It probably doesn't make a difference or anything, but I do work full-time in finance. I'm not in any type of school setting or daycare setting. But I will possibly be getting a job as a para this time next year. I didn't know if I would need to basically stay on this form for a career changer, or will I need to also do a form for a para once I do become one in August of next year?
So I'll go ahead and let you fill out the career changer form this year. And then if you do get a job as a para, we'll just let you fill out another form as a para. But your field progression chart is going to look about the same. If you notice, they basically look the same, except for that it doesn't say current class, just because as a career changer, you're not in a current classroom. So that's basically the only difference in the progression chart. But as far as the commitment form and an administrator and a mentor working with you, we may have to change that up a little bit depending on what school you're hired at. If you already know what school you may be, applying for or may be hired at, if you'll let me know, that way this year I could go ahead and talk to them and see if I could get you in there now for this year's field experiences, and you would already, be familiar with, they would already be familiar with you, you'd already be familiar with them. If you already know, if you do not know yet what school you would be hired at, then, we can switch it out. It's not a big deal. We'll make it work for you. But if you do know, just let me know. You can send me an email or call me, and let me know.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. My question is kind of different. I'm the only one in this program that homeschools her kids. So I homeschool, and I teach at a co-op, but I know it's not accredited. I teach at a co-op in Americus. So what does this look like for me? Technically, I guess I do the career changer form, correct?
Right.
Since I'm not technically in a school system. As far as like the liability goes for insurance, now this might be a dumb question, but like as long as I have that's just general insurance, right? Like through any program, correct? Like I'm on my husband's insurance. It doesn't have to be like through a school system or anything.
So
make
it's not medical insurance. It's actually a membership that you pay for at a teaching association membership. And they give you insurance for if anything were to happen in a school setting. So while you're doing these field experiences and you're in a school, if anything were to happen and a parent says you did something and tries to sue you, you are covered up to however much. And I have a representative that's about to log on in 5 minutes, and she's going to explain a little bit more about that. If you're a career changer, and she'll talk about this too, but if you're a career changer and you're not actually in a school, then you can purchase a student membership, and the student memberships are cheaper than the support personnel memberships. Actually, I think she is actually waiting in the lobby now. So I'll let her talk about that in just a few minutes, but
Okay.
this is different than just typical like health insurance.
Okay.
It's liability, but I'll let her talk about that in a few minutes. Whenever I finish this part, she'll kind of go into what that is and how you're covered and what you're covered, what amount you're covered up to.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, that was
But
probably a dumb
otherwise-
question. I'm just trying to figure all this out.
Right. So otherwise, Leslie, whatever city you live in, I'm not positive. I don't remember exactly what city you
I
live
live
in.
in Dawson, so I'm right in between
Dawson.
Americus and Albany.
So what I would probably do is I would work with one school, either in Americus, like Furlough Charter School, or possibly one school in Albany, like Lake Park, just for example. And I would try to get them to allow you to come do your field experiences all for the entire 2 years. So I would try to work with one school for you to do that.
Okay, I have a question about that. Do you know if Vine Christian Academy is accredited? I'm assuming they are. But I'm really close to the headmaster, and he's already told me to come there if I can do my field experience and my student teaching because they want to hire me. So
So if you'll email Dr. Abbott and ask her, we're not partners with private schools. However, for this program, we could make something work if it is a school that is accredited and you already have connections there.
Okay.
So email Dr. Abbott and ask her to check on that for you, or ask your connections there at the school, and we can try to make that work. But I'll get with you once you fill out the career changer form and get it back to me. And after you know for sure if the school is accredited or not, then we can try to make that work for you.
Okay, and I have one final question.
Okay.
So as far as like the hours, I know you said 75 hours or 10 full days or 20 half days. This might be another dumb question, but could your hours be like 10 to 3, or do they have to be like right when the school opens up until a certain time? So, I'll be having to hire a babysitter to watch because I got 4 kids. So I'm trying to figure out a schedule to do that. And so that's why I was asking, like, how can those hours be pretty flexible, or what do you recommend with that?
Yes, the hours can be flexible as long as the school that you're working with is on board with you for that.
Okay.
So they can be flexible if it's 10 to 2, or, even if you go for 2 or 3 hours one day. We just suggest not going for like an hour here and there. But if you go for a chunk of time in the middle of the school day, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any more questions from career changers?
I'm not a career changer, but with the insurance, I have already purchased it again. Like I renewed it. Because I got an email saying it was about to expire, and it told me it was cheaper if I renewed it than to repurchase it.
So, Summer, are you in a school right now?
Yes, I'm at Lee County Middle School.
And did you renew as a student membership?
I renewed it the same as what I did last semester with my field experience for that. Like I wasn't a para last semester.
So was it the $15 for the student?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Miss Michelle that's logged on, she'll be able to answer that question. I'm going to go over one other thing before she starts talking about that. But she'll be able to help us with that to see if we can transfer your membership from that to the support personnel membership, because you would have to have the step up from the student membership since you're actually employed as a school employee.
Okay.
So I will let Miss Michelle answer that in just a second. Okay, Summer?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so before Ms. Michelle gets started, I want you to look at one more thing with me, and this is the SLL account, Student Learning and Licensure account. This is required for all of our education students. So this is where you will go in and log your hours that you go to the school, that you're doing these experiences. This is where your program long mentor will do evaluations for you. This is where you'll submit that progression chart that I was just showing you. You'll submit a picture of that in there. You'll use this for the rest of your time with us. And then you can also use this if you go on and get a master's degree, a specialist degree from us. You can use it for that as well. It's like I think it's a 5 or 7 year membership once you purchase. So it is a one-time purchase. Some of you may already have purchased it, like Summer. I know you probably purchased it last semester or even before that. So some of you may already have what we called a VIA or a VIA Live Text account. This is that. It just has changed names to Student Learning and Licensure. So if you do not have one of these accounts, you're going to have to purchase that account this semester. This is a one-time purchase. I will say that it's a little expensive. If you purchase it directly online on the website, it's $139, I believe. If you purchase it through the bookstore here at GSW, you can purchase it through the bookstore, and you can use financial aid. So if you have financial aid through GSW and you want to purchase through the bookstore to use your financial aid, you can do that. But I do believe it's like $170 or $180 if you do it through the bookstore. So if you don't have financial aid, I recommend just purchasing it straight from the website. It's cheaper that way. So to do that, you'll go to sll.watermarkinsights.com. You'll enter your Radar email address, and I'll put this website in the chat box in just a few minutes. You'll enter your Radar email address and you'll click Forgot Password. They'll send you a link to your Radar email address for you to click on to go in and set up an account. Once you go in to set up an account, it'll ask you for what form of payment you're going to use. You can use debit, credit card, or you can put in a voucher code if you get a voucher code from the bookstore. Once you get this account, you will sign in with the credentials, that's your password and credentials. So I'm signing in, and this is what it will look like. Yours is not going to look exactly like this. It's not going to have this intro to education down here. Yours will have F22EE online pathway field experience. Yours will also show up the classes that you're in right now. So the classes show up in your account. Some of your classes may ask you to submit work in VIA. They may ask you to submit a lesson plan in VIA. Some of it may only be submitted in Georgia View, but if they ever ask you to submit something in VIA, or if they ask you to submit it in SLL, which is the new name, then you'll know that's this. But for the field experience purposes, you're going to see F22EE online pathway field experience. This is where you're going to go to log your hours, to submit that progression chart each semester, and to for evaluations, and also to upload your liability insurance. So Ms. Michelle's about to talk about that real quick in just a second. Once you get your liability insurance, you will upload that to this group in your SLL account. So here you see liability insurance submission required. You'll click that. You'll just select a file and upload a picture of your liability insurance card here in this account. You'll also see at the top here where it says activities, homepage, log, placement details. The one that we're really worried about is log. I can't highlight that, but it's right here. So you'll click log. So for these 10 days or 75 hours, this is where you will log this time. So you will create a log entry each semester. You're going to have at least 10 days logged or at least 75 hours logged. So you're going to create a log entry. Let's say on August 31st, you go to observe a kindergarten classroom, and you're in there for 6 hours, 0 minutes. So here in the description box, you're going to put kindergarten, And if it's your current class, type kindergarten, current class, general education. If it's kindergarten, current class, ESOL. Kindergarten, ESOL. If it's not your current class, do not write current class. If it is, go ahead and type current class. In whatever diverse setting that you're in. If you're not in a diverse setting and you're just in a general ed setting, then put general ed setting. So if you're in a kindergarten, current class, general ed, that's what you'll type here. And then you'll save. And that will pop up your log. And at that point, your program long mentor will be able to log in their account, and they'll see that log, and they'll be able to approve those hours that you did in those classrooms. Are there any questions right now about the SLL account? If you have never had an SLL account or VIA account and you have questions about that, you're more than welcome to stay on here in just a few minutes and I'll help answer those questions, or you can call me and I'll help walk you through how to sign up for an account. I'm going to type that URL in the chat box in just a second while Miss Michelle's talking, so you'll have that to be able to go on and start that process. All right, so if there's no questions right this second, I'm going to go ahead and let our page representative, Miss Michelle, tell you who she is, who she works for, and give you a little bit of information about what liability insurance is and what page membership is.
Good evening, everybody. How are you guys doing tonight? So I am Michelle Deckman, and I am the page representative, which is the Professional Association of Georgia Educators for District 2, which covers anywhere from Thomas County to Worth County and Colquitt, all the way over to Alabama and up near Webster County, just under Columbus. So if you're working in a school system right now, we've had page representation at your new teacher orientations. And then also I am working on getting into schools as quickly as possible. Page does allow you to have that protection, the liability coverage. In today's society that we live in, there are always people outside looking at educators. The least little thing that we do is being scrutinized, whether it's something that we put privately on social media or somebody sees something or we're tagged in something. So you want to make sure that you have the legal protection. And as a retired educator in Thomas County, I signed up for Page many years ago. It came out of my check. I didn't even worry about it. It was just something that I had that protection should something occur. It is $1 million liability protection plan with a $10,000 when you get your certificate. If somebody tries to take you to court or has an allegation against you, you have representation with some top-notch lawyers and attorneys. We have network attorneys, and then we have 6 page attorneys that work out of our offices. And one of the biggest things that they say is if you are reported to the Georgia Professional Standards Commission, that the first thing you do before you respond to any kind of allegation, whether it's a verbal, email, or in writing, is to contact the page attorneys. Let them give you the advice on how to respond back to that. The policy is win or lose. So if there's an issue and you don't happen to win it, then you do not have to pay any upfront costs or anything for that representation. We do offer grants and scholarships once you get into the school buildings that you can use. There's scholarships to help for continuing education. And then also at the college level, there's a scholarship that you can apply for. And all of those are posted on our website with the application process and everything that you need for that. Page, and there's another organization out called GAE. They are your liability protection policies. If you're not a member of Page, then please find a professional organization to be part of. I know that Ms. Ward's program does require you guys to have the liability coverage. And so if you are currently employed and paid for paid by your district, then you'll have to go through your district. I mean, I can help you, but you have to sign up for a page through your district, which for parapros and support is $7.99 payroll deducted. If you are at like a Head Start or a private school, I can check on some of those, but pretty much the Head Start daycares, those are the ones that you pay the $15 college fee, and it only protects you while you're in your field experiences. Whereas if you're already employed with a school system, it's going to protect you in the school and also with your field experiences. Does that make sense? Questions? We are going to put a link. You can sign up online. If you have an outside question, you can email it to me, and then I can always reach out to our page membership services director, because I heard, I think it was Miss Summer earlier that had a question about how you had already signed up through Lee County. I can look and see what you are on Lee County and then see if you can change your status. If you're being paid as a teacher, then I think you have to have the professional status. If you're being paid as a support or para, then you can get the support fees. Okay. Questions?
I have one. So if we just contact our district page membership, since if we are a para, they can just walk us through this, or would you prefer to do this?
So what district are you in?
I'm in Crisp.
Crisp. You can still sign up online. If you want to sign up online, I can email you the link with an application. You can do everything online, and you'll just put Crisp County and then the school that you are enrolled or employed by.
And okay, so if we already have an account, we can just and upgrade our membership.
Yes. So you already have an account as an employee?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
There's another way you can do that. You can go online and go to the update membership. And if you haven't been there for a while, the platform changed over the summer. They want us to create an account, kind of like Amazon. So you have to go in and you have to put a username and password, and then that will let you get into the program and you can update. And if you ever want to renew, or once you get into a school and you move to another school, you can go in and update membership there as well. For new folks, there's a join button that you just click on, and that's where you can join.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm sharing my screen right now, and this is the link that I posted in the chat box. It takes you straight to the page website. You can join here, update your profile, or renew your membership. So if you had a student membership in the past, you can renew it. If now you're working at a school system, you can renew it and upgrade to the support personnel. If you've never had a membership in the past and you are a career changer, like she said earlier, if you're working at daycare or a school that's not accredited, and we're going to have to treat you as a career changer, then you can purchase the student membership, which is, I think, $15 for the whole year.
$15. Yes, ma'am.
So a student membership is a little bit cheaper, but if you do work in a school system, like she said, it's the $7.99 a month for support personnel, which I think most of you are considered support personnel if you're working in a school system. Now, once you if you take, I'll go ahead and mention this. If you take on a role as an intern your senior year and you're paid as the teacher of record, if they pay you as the teacher of record, then you may have to go ahead and update your membership to the teacher level. What's
Correct.
that, Ms. Michelle? What's it? Is it this
Professional, and it's $14.99 a month. Yeah.
So if you're hired as the teacher of record your senior year, you would have to upgrade that to the professional level from the support level.
But with that being said, if you're at the college rate, They do, let me rephrase that changes. They do give you a benefit of being a college student to where you only pay half price your first year. But I would have to check with the membership person because technically you wouldn't be in your first year, you'd be doing your internship. So we could check on that. Is there anybody, just if you're in that situation to where you're going to be paid as the teacher of record, shoot me an email and then I can get with the Page office to make sure that you are, getting the most out of your membership at the cheapest price.
Miss Michelle also put her email there in the chat box. And she is very responsive to emails. I've already had some of our students here that met with her last Friday emailing her about some stuff from their account, and she's been wonderful. So she'll get back with you as soon as she can and get answers for you if you have any specific questions about your membership.
Okay.
And I can also help you for the most part. There may be, if I don't know the answer, I may reach out to Miss Michelle, or I'll find an answer for you. But if you know specifically questions about the liability page, then Miss Michelle would be your go-to. Are there any other questions right now about liability insurance, page memberships? So at this point, I'm going to stay on for a little while longer. If anybody has any other questions about anything, I'll be on a little bit longer. You can stay and ask. If you want to email me about questions later, that's perfectly fine. If you want to call me, I'm about to go home tonight, so don't call me now. But I will be back in the office tomorrow. And my number, I'll put my number in the chat box. If I happen not to answer, if I'm not in the office, then just leave a message. I do have a voicemail on my phone, so you can leave me a message. If not, just shoot me an email and say, hey, can we talk? And we'll set up a time to talk. I'll be glad to help y'all through this. Like I said earlier when we first started, y'all got to bear with me and with us. This is our first semester with this program, so we're all like getting our feet wet and we're all learning. So y'all are going to have to help us through this learning curve also. So we'll all learn together. Any specific questions right now? I'm going to stay on for a little while longer, but if not, y'all are welcome to leave. I hope y'all have a great rest of your night. Thank y'all so much for jumping on tonight. I know y'all, most of you have families and you've been working all day. So I just want to thank you for joining and listening. I will be emailing out those commitment forms to you all. I'm probably just going to send an email to all of you with the school employee form and the career changer form, so you choose the one that you fall under. I'm not going to separate the emails. I'll just put both attachments in the email and you choose the one that works for you. And then if you'll just meet with your administrator as soon as you can and get those back to me as soon as possible. I'm not putting a deadline on that, but as soon as you can get them back to me, the faster we can get the process moving this semester. All right. Well, if y'all don't have any questions, you're free to go. Thank y'all again for logging on with us tonight. And please reach out to us if you have any questions. That's what we're here for. It was good to see some of your faces and hear some of you all. And thank you again, Ms. Michelle, for logging on and explaining liability insurance and page memberships a little bit more.
And I added my telephone number as well. In case somebody needs to reach out to me and you don't have access to your email, we can get you guys taken care of. And then I'll be with you again on your next college visit.
Yes, ma'am. September 6th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too. All right, so if anybody's on here and you have questions, just go right ahead. Just jump on in.
Okay, so you want us to meet with our principals, right? So I do bus duty at the primary school. So if we only work like half a day, like say in the morning to lunch or lunch to till whenever it's time to leave, that's okay, right? As long as we get 75 hours.
Yeah, as long as it's 75 hours, like however you want to break it up and however your administrator wants to help you with that, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, that's my only question. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I had to run to the potty, so I have one question that she might have answered. I'm logging in now to try to sign up for the insurance. Whenever it
Okay.
asks like who it is, do I put college student? I guess you have to.
Yes, so for you, Leslie, since you're not employed by a school system, you
Right.
would just choose the $15 a year college student.
Okay, perfect. That's what I want to know. I was like trying to hold it, and I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll come back.
That's okay. Yeah, so you'll choose that one, the $15 a year. You can go ahead and purchase it for 2 years for $30 if you want to, or you can just purchase it for the year and then next year purchase it for 15 more. Or you could wait just in case you got hired as a para or a teacher of record next
Right.
year. You could just purchase it for this 1 year and see what next year holds if you want to do that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome.
Miss Ward,
Candace, how are you?
how are you? I sent you an email. My son had surgery today, so I missed the first part of the call.
Okay.
I did get membership information, but I didn't get the field experience information. So was this recorded? Like, can you
It
send it to me?
was. Yeah, so
Okay.
I did record this. I haven't stopped the recording yet because I wanted to make sure the questions got answered on the recording in case anybody else had the same questions. I'll stop the recording once everybody logs off and I will send you that recording. It will probably be tomorrow or Thursday before I can get it to you because it has to download and I think I have to like put it in YouTube or something like that. But I'll get it sent to you so you can hear what all I was talking about for the field experience part. Are you a para or are you a career changer?
I'm a para at
Okay.
Sumter Primary.
Sumter Primary. Okay. So yeah. So yours, I talked about the para at the beginning. Yours is going to look a little different because since you're at primary, you're only at K1, pre-K, K and 1. Is that correct?
Yes.
So your administrator will have to work with you to be able to go over to at some point the intermediate school for 4 or 5. You could do your 2 grade bands at your school. You could do the pre-K or K, and then you could do the first grade, which is, I think your first grade para, right? So you can do your own classroom, and I talked about all of that, but you can do your own classroom for one of them, which would be first grade. Then you could go
Okay.
into a K or a pre-K classroom and do that grade band. But then your administrator could work with you to go over to the intermediate school to do a 4th or 5th grade placement. And I talked about all of that. So once you listen to that, if you still have any questions about it, just call me or email me and we'll discuss it in more detail.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions from anybody logged on? Rebecca?
Yes, I have a question.
All right, you can go ahead, Rebecca. I think you're on.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
I feel like my situation might be a little different because I'm working at Marion County with the reading interventionist as a para. And so like we see groups in different grade bands kind of, so I'm just trying to figure out like how that works for me. And I'm also like a new para. So I've previously already been to like kindergarten at Sumter Primary. So like how would that
Yes.
look for me when I'm trying to like fill that out?
So you were in our program last semester at Sumter Primary, correct?
Yes.
Hold on, let me pull up something while you're talking. Just a second.
Okay. Because like the reading interventionist wants me to like help her with groups and stuff. And so like, she wants to add groups to my schedule and I'm just trying to figure out like how that would work for me,
Okay, so for you, you do not have to worry about the kindergarten grade band. You already were in kindergarten at Sumter Primary. So scratch that off your list. You don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
So for you, you just need to make sure between this semester and when you graduate, you get first, second, and third, and 4th and 5th. So like I know Mary LK Moss is all of the grades. So this semester, just pick one of those. What grades are you working with currently?
She's thinking, I'm being trained right now on like the reading program we're using. So I think she's thinking about maybe 1st through 3rd, that grade band.
Okay, so if you want to do that this semester, since that's what they're going to have you working with this semester for sure, go ahead and get that one out of the way since it's your current. go ahead and get that one out of the way. And then next semester, ask them if you can go into a 4th and 5th grade classroom or work with a 4th and 5th grade group next semester. And I know that you're working with intervention. So intervention can be one of your diverse placements, but you're also going to have to get at least one more. So talk to Marion County about going in like a gifted classroom or a ESOL classroom or something like that for like next semester. Like this semester, you
Okay.
could use current class and intervention. And then next semester, ask them about going into a gifted 4th or 5th grade or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yes, and that would just only be for the 10 days, right?
Right, only the 10 days. You'd only have to go and do that the 10 days. Now, if you're working with a group of 4th or 5th graders, you're probably going to be working with them as intervention. So to get that second diverse placement, you're going to need to do like 4th or 5th grade something else besides the intervention. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I know that like Marion County does internships, so I'm
Yes.
like thinking about doing that next school year
Yeah, so
because I
that would be
graduate next
wonderful
December.
if you could get, if you could go ahead and get your 1, 2, 3 grade band now, and then your 4, 5 grade band in the spring, then next fall, if they hire you as an intern, it wouldn't matter what grade they hired you as, because you would have them all
Okay.
completed.
Okay, so like right now I could do like I could ask my teacher like, hey, can I work with like 1st through 3? And then like that would be intervention. And then next semester I could be like, okay, I can spend 10 days in like a 4th or 5th SPED classroom. Is that okay?
So SPED, we could possibly make it work, but if you could possibly do something besides SPED, we would rather you do something besides SPED. If you could do ESOL or gifted or, I mean, we could make SPED work if it's inclusion maybe. But since you're not a SPED major, I don't know that we can just make just a self-contained SPED or anything like that work. But
Okay.
but surely they have gifted classrooms they could maybe let you work with.
Yes.
Or ESOL. I don't know your ESOL population, but if you could work with the ESOL teacher maybe. But if not, if it comes down to it and they ask about SPED, we can see if we can make that work. I can talk to Dr. Abbott and Dr. Mackey and see if we can make that work.
Okay. I think
And
that's
so
it.
so this semester, and I didn't mention this earlier on the call, I'll maybe try to mention this in one of the emails I send y'all, but for this semester, when you're in your current classroom, you basically just have to log 10 days, any 10 days, because you're in your current classroom. So it doesn't matter what 10 days you log, even if you log them all back to back, like any 10 days logged is fine for your current classroom.
Okay. So like I could kind of switch them up too. Like if she were to give me groups in 4th or 5th, like I could do current class 4th and 5th, and then next semester do 1 through 3 in like a gifted.
Yeah, so if you do 4th and 5th this semester, yes, you can do that. The only thing we don't want you to do is do like 2 grade bands in one semester. So we don't want you to do 1, 2, and 3 and 4 and 5 in one semester. We want you to separate those by semesters. But
Okay.
it doesn't matter which order you do it in. It could be 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, or you could do 1, 2, 3 now and then 4, 5 next semester. However they want to work that out for you.
Okay, that makes me feel better. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Hey, so I did field experience last semester. Is that for something else? Because I've been in a kindergarten classroom and a 5th grade classroom so far.
Okay, Summer, were you in intro classes last semester when you did that?
Was I in what?
Like the intro classes, was it EDUC 2110, 2120, or
Yes.
2130? Okay, so if you were in those field experiences, then that doesn't count towards this upper division field experience.
Okay.
So now that you're in the program and you're considered upper division, we have to do the 3 grade bands again.
Okay. And this might be like an out there question, but so next year I'm moving. I will be, soon to be engaged, married to a guy that's in the military, and we're moving out of state, like to probably Virginia. And how does I plan to still do it through Georgia Southwestern because I heard you say y'all offer this to out of state people as well.
Right.
Do you know about certification? Like, will my certification be messed up since I'm getting certified for Georgia?
Yeah, so you would be certified through Georgia, and I'm not sure how that works when you move. I do know that, I mean, I believe you would be able to finish the program with us, and you could, do your student teaching at whatever, if you're a para in a different state, you could do your student teaching there. But I'm not sure how the certification works. That would definitely be a question for Dr. Abbott or Miss West, Miss Yolanda West. So if you wanted to email them and just tell them, look, I already know that I'm probably moving to Virginia or another state. What would that look like when my certification is complete in Georgia? Like, what will I need to do?
Okay. I had another question. And if she said something to me earlier about my liability, I had really bad connection, so I didn't even hear her answer.
So she said if you'll email her, she'll look up in her system, like your Lee County account, like for what you have through Lee County. Are they doing it payroll deduct, or did you just sign up like with a credit card?
No, I did it with, so you know how last semester we had a habit being that we were in field experience? It
Right.
just sent it to my email and said renew, and I hit renew and it charged me. So
The $15.
yeah.
So if you'll email her and tell her that you've just renewed it, like just recently, within the last month or so, you've just renewed it at the $15 level, but you need to get the support personnel level. So I think it's like $87 for the year. It comes out to like $7.99 a month. So ask her email's in the chat or her phone number. If you'll ask her, say, I've already submitted the $15 payment for this year. So is there any way that you could just pay the difference to upgrade to the support personnel instead of the student? If they can change you from student to support personnel without you having to lose that $15.
Okay, and hers is Michelle, or it's M. Deckman.
Yes. Yeah, at pageinc.org. That's her email.
Okay, and I think I had another question.
And I know you already had a VIA account, and like I was saying, it just changed names. So if you type in vialivetext.com, it'll still come up, and you can still use your same password and everything. It's just now titled Student Learning and Licensure. So you can type in that new website, sll.watermarkinsights.com, or you can still type vialivetext.com. I don't know how long vialivetext.com will work, but it still works right now. So.
Okay, and do you know how long our membership is for VIA?
I think 5 or 7 years. I'm not positive, but I think I'm wanting to say 7 years.
So like throughout our whole college experience.
Right. Yeah. It's just that one-time fee that you paid at the very beginning, and you can use it the whole time.
Okay.
If you forgot your password for some reason, you can click on forgot password, and they'll send you an email to your Radar account, and they'll let you change the password. But your account's still active if you purchased it in intro classes.
Okay. So I know that you have to have field experience and everything, but do they offer any of the classes in the summer, like through this program too?
That's a good question. I'm not sure how that works. I know that like when you're in the cohorts here in person, you do have a few summer classes, so you may have online classes in the summer. I'm not positive on that though.
Okay, because I took I think 2 maths. It was like the first 2 maths on the right side of the curriculum sheet this past summer, and I was going to try to do at least 2 more this summer, or 2 more classes, not specifically math.
I'm wanting to say that yes, there are going to be a couple that you'll do in the summer. They're not going to require like field experience for them, but I'm wanting to say you will have online in the summer, I think. But Dr. Abbott could tell you for sure if you just email her and say, hey, I'm just wondering, will we have classes this coming up summer? I know that if I was a student there in person that we would have summer classes. So I'm just wondering if this online pathway will have summer classes.
Okay, and this is my last question.
That's okay.
Okay, so I know like in Lee County we have a shortage of subs. Like it is extremely hard to get a sub. So if I was to help an elementary school and sub one day, could any of those hours go towards my field experience, or do I have to be under a teacher?
So you could, as long as it falls in that grade band that you're doing that semester. So let's say you're going to do your pre-KK grade band this semester, and Lee County Pre-K wants you to sub for them, then you could use that if you're going to do that grade band this semester, because you're technically not going to be under that teacher's name in your SLL account, VIA account. You'll be under whoever your mentor at your school. So you're at the middle school, right? Which middle school are you at?
East.
East. So it'll probably be Aaron Peavy. I'm just guessing. But if it is her, like, you can work with her for her to be able to contact like Lee County Pre-K or Lee County Primary or Kitchafuni and get you that kindergarten placement. And you could do the first grade, first, second, or third. You could do first grade at that school. So you could do two, potentially, like if you did Kitchafuni, you could do a K placement and a first grade placement there and work with that one school. And then she could contact, well, for you, if you move to Virginia, it may be different for you. But like for this year, if I were you, I would ask her or whoever your mentor is about contacting like Kitchafuni Primary or Lee County Primary to get the K placement and the first or second placement. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That
So
way you
can
could
my
knock both of
teacher
those out this year.
that I'm under be my mentor?
Yeah, if your administrator is fine with that, if your principal is fine with that, if she wants to help you work through that, and if she wants to go in your SLL account to approve your hours that you're doing at the other school, that's fine.
Okay,
If your administrator's okay with that.
So my principal's wife is a first grade teacher, and I think can he request for me to be in her class when he calls the administrator, just so it's easier for scheduling and stuff?
Yeah, it doesn't matter whose class you're in. It can be any, as long as it's in that grade band. And if it's like if she is a general ed first grade classroom, then you need to make sure that at another semester you do a different than a general ed. So does that make sense? Like if she teaches general ed and you're in first grade general ed this semester with her, then next semester you'll need to do like kindergarten gifted or kindergarten ESOL or kindergarten intervention, something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Can it be fourth or fifth inclusive? You did say inclusive was okay.
Inclusion. So if you can't find another one, if you can't find gifted intervention, ESOL, if you can't find that, let me know and I'll talk to Dr. Abbott and Dr. Mackey and see if they'll approve that. We don't necessarily want you to go the SPED route if you don't have to. But if you have to, then we'll try to get that approved. But if you can find gifted or intervention, like RTI students, intervention, or ESOL. I know Lee County has a small ESOL population, so I'm sure some of their classes are ESOL classes. And then I know for sure they have gifted classes. So if you could possibly work that out, that would be the easiest route to go.
Okay. All right, I think that's all my questions.
If you have any more, feel free to reach out to us. I know it's all confusing right now. We're all confused right now. We're trying to work through everything since it's new to us. We're trying to figure out everything. So please don't hesitate to call us if you have some more questions, or if your administrator, when you're sitting down with them and they have questions, if you want to call, we'll try to work through it.
Okay, and is this including our field experience hours? So I know in the syllabus it says you have to have so many hours for each class. Is this like a total of them?
That's total. So don't worry about what the syllabus says about the hours. This is just for this online program we came up with. I don't know if you remember hearing us talk about when you were here in person, our elementary group goes for 3 full weeks to field experience. But for y'all, since y'all are already working in schools, we just chose to do 75 hours or 10 days so that you could make it work for your schedule there and do, they don't have to be consecutive. They don't have to be a full week. It can be 1 day a week or 2 days a week, so we wanted to make it where y'all would have more flexibility with that. So don't worry about the hours that say they're required on your syllabus. This is your requirement, either 75 hours or 10 days, however it works out.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too.